Good afternoon, traders. It's Monday, March 16th, and we're here to do our daily recap. If you're not already in the room, I just want to let everybody know and remind you that we have a 7-day free trial. You can come in the room, watch for a whole week, and that also includes 1 hour training session with George. So definitely come take advantage of that. If you're curious on how to do that, just check the link in the description below. And we also have a free trade room course where we really go into detail a lot of these terms you're going to hear George talking about sometimes in these recaps. So come on over. We'd love to have you, and hand it over to you, George.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. We got another, I think 1 or 2 training sessions here this week. So
Yep.
excited to onboard a couple more folks and just kind of get them used to our system. We'll start off with the ES here. So as you guys can probably tell just from the start of the day to the end of the day, it was pretty sideways, decent movement. Probably a total range of 45, 50 points of total range. However, the setups were not all awesome, but either way, we took what we had. So we had the pre-market here, and they had broken a decision point that we had posted way back in the early part of the morning, right around the 66.83, and those were for these series of upside targets right here in this zone. So we had that all posted ahead of time. However, the room itself still hadn't opened, so very helpful for those who have their chart cast running. They can just see this stuff pop up on their screen, and of course, our guys have been here long enough that they know how to trade it and work with it. But otherwise, let's find our 920. Here's our 920 bar right here. So little tiny doji, not a lot going on. There was a lot of discussion kind of around like where we were at. It's always good to understand like we're already in the move. We're inside the targets. There's not a lot you can do just like right here, right now. So the best that we could hope for on the ES was that we get a return back to the decision point. So again, just in an effort to buy low, sell high, it's if we can get a better price, let's take it. Of course, that didn't happen at the start of the morning. It just ran up, and then nobody that I'm aware of in the room chased, because we try to do our best not to chase. Let the market come to you, and then you get a better price, a better fill. So as it was making the drop back down, we really were shooting for one of 3 spaces. I didn't mark it, but you can kind of see this tiny little line right here that we put in at 1040. I had mentioned this is like as it's falling, because again, we were trying to reach closer to this upward decision point and the hurdle. That was really what we were after as like the bigger picture for the day. I said, if you want, and you're in an aggressive mood, you can hit it from here. Otherwise, go ahead and hit it again from where it basically not double bottom, but where it bottomed out around the 935 start of the day. So I personally, I took that one. It was great. Went up as plenty of points, and then it held our decision point, which if we just drug this thing on over, so nothing broke it. Nothing got down there. We had mentioned that 84 was going to be the slightly more aggressive to really the has to hold. The has to hold breaks everything. And that's why we label them kind of the way that we do, is that if the market loses certain points price wise with inside the daily range, it's effectively breaking the entirety of that cycle. So it has to hold in the sense of if we don't want to break this cycle, and they're going to keep going up. So I had a buy bias myself on the day. So this one worked out great. The 84 worked out great. And then it didn't quite touch our decision point, but we did get up to our expected high. If I just drug this thing over. So it didn't quite make it there, but we got to expected high. So not a lot of targets today. It was clearly just range bound. NQ, slightly different, only it had targets in a couple different spots. So we had, fine, same thing, pre-market move up. We explained that and how people were kind of interacting there. And here's our 920 again. We had one minor has to hold right at the start of the morning. So we had a quick spike up, hit our minor has to hold, and it dropped. So what was that? 702. So it dropped for about 40 points or more actually. Oh, it came all the way down here. Never mind. Yeah, like 50 points. So it was a phenomenal short. And then we had a rubber band up here. That one was absolutely fantastic. I know a few folks in the room took that one on the counter trend because the NQ we were still looking for buys, but it actually gave additional information that you could have interacted with it and tried to take it in the short position. The ES was a bit more difficult. It really needed to go a bit higher to find a logical short position, but it was kind of stated a little bit in reverse today. We were looking for counter trends off of these targets to basically stay in line with what the ES was doing because it was much clearer that they were trying to still go up, whereas the NQ was making targets to the downside. So here we are. This one was great right here at about 1050. We had a nice spike down to our second target, and then it revisited again. But as you can see, we never got to any additional upside targets. Same deal. We were really hunting for the market to get to the upward decision point and the upward hurdle that we had posted much earlier in the day. And that spike right there, that did it. So still lots of points, lots of available places to trade, as long as you're just interacting kind of where and when the market dictates.
Yep, I don't have anything to add to that. It was just kind of a sideways. Looks like you caught a nice trade there at the hurdle and dropped a good 100 points. I was not looking at the screens by that time of the day, so.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped about that one. I just left it on. I went to go get one of my daughters from school, and I just left the trade on. And I said, it's a reasonable trade with a reasonable stop. When I got back, it had come up, tagged it, and I was already in as I was returning back home to find that I was on the correct side of that move. So it was great.
And for those of you that don't know, George is the limit order king. I mean, I don't think you ever hit market. If you do, I've never heard you talk about it. So,
no, it's something I definitely coach on too. That's a good point. I don't like it. I wish I could delete it, frankly, from most people's computers, because market orders have a tendency to be a reactionary thing, whereas limit order, it says that I'm planning, this move for these number of points, or at least with this level of stop, and exactly what the thought process is going into it.
right.
So I really, really don't like market orders, and I understand it's something that has to be coached out of a lot of people, but and you can go back and review our videos, one after another, and you can see how well the market, even if like this hurdle, for instance, the implications that the market didn't go through this hurdle have massive implications to the downside.
Right.
Which sounds good in theory, but at the same time, it's a whole, it's step 1, step 2, step 9, step 10. It has to get through a whole series of things to make that all possible. So I still pair out along the path, and if it makes it further, that's great.
Okay, man. Well, glad you caught that trade, and we'll see everybody in the room tomorrow. Again, if you're not already there, come get a 7-day free trial. Link in the description below, and we'll see you over there in the trade room.
Yeah, buddy. All right, guys.